Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
Have our eyes truly seen? So the real question, another question with have our eyes truly seen is, what are we waiting for? If I were going to ask you right now, what are you waiting for? And I don't have any limits about what I'm asking about. But is there any part of your life that you're waiting? You're waiting for something. You're waiting for an event, a time on a calendar. Are you waiting for anything? What are we waiting for? This month, all the way till the end of the month, as I was talking about last week, is we're on a pilgrimage. And it's a pilgrimage into the darkness, as we're going into the winter solstice, the darkest time of the year. But it's not just a day. It's all the weeks prior and all the weeks after the solstice. It's full of darkness. And what darkness is the unfamiliar. And so we have, the pilgrimage is, what is our evolutionary cutting edge? Where is our growth in our life right now? Everyone's different. So someone's life might be totally stable, but we're here to create. Spirit is a creative energy. So where is my creative energy flowing into as we get ready for 2023? What's my evolutionary cutting edge? What are the dreams that I've had, that I still have, that are still inside of me that I haven't yet fulfilled? Or what are the wounds that I have that still need to be healed? So what the pilgrimage into the darkness is about moving away. I was reading this in a book, I could take no credit for it, by Callistos Ware. And he was talking about that when we are on this mystery into darkness, we're moving from partial light into darkness, partial knowledge. Like right now we have a lot of knowledge about our lives. You're very wise people here. A cutting evolutionary edge takes wherever we are, all the knowledge, all the experience, everything that we have, but still recognizing as infinite beings, it's still only partial. And so we're willing to go into the darkness and let go for a while of even that partial knowledge, so we can let it all go and go into the dark mystery of the unknown, where actually greater awareness and knowledge is realized. More profound knowledge is found, as he called it, the dazzling darkness, or the darkness of illumination. And I mentioned this last week, where Moses starts with the brilliant light of the burning bush, and then has the cloud of fire and pillar of cloud. So it's half light, half dark. And then when he's on Mount Sinai, he's immersed in darkness, in the dazzling darkness. Because everything is made new in the darkness. Some things, the old structures are falling away, and something new is happening. And so that's what this pilgrimage is. It's about opening up to something new, the willingness to let certain things go. And for everyone here, that might be different. And every year it's going to be different. So that's why we do this pilgrimage every year, because we're always growing. We never stop growing or healing. Sometimes it's more about healing than growing, and we're all on different places. So if there's a healing that needs to happen, in order for that healing to happen, there needs to be a letting go of that which was, to allow that which is new to arise. And this is where the whole idea of paradigm comes in. I remember learning this the first time I heard it was from Willis Harman, who was the president of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and he got it from a scientist named Thomas Kuhn. And he was talking about these structures that we have, these overlying worldviews that we have, and that we all carry on. We don't even think twice about them. And then the paradigm shift is when suddenly we realize, wait, that wasn't quite correct. The most obvious one is when, for most of time, people thought Earth was the center of the galaxy. And it seemed totally logical. You look up, the sun goes around, the moon goes around, the stars. I don't think it was arrogance. People sort of put us down for feeling that way. It seems like a very natural conclusion living on Earth that it's happening around us. And it was through study and opening up to new possibilities that suddenly, when there was a lot of work that went up to it, but then that shift happened all of a sudden. No, the sun's the center of the galaxy, and we're going around the sun. That's a huge paradigm shift. Right? That's just like, whoa. We are not the center of the galaxy. The sun is the center of the galaxy. And it doesn't mean the Earth isn't really important. It doesn't take away from the power and the beauty of the Earth. It just is saying it's shifting how we perceive things. That's a paradigm shift. When we went from Newtonian science to quantum physics with Einstein and the theory of relativity, that changed how scientists started looking at things. These are huge shifts. That's what a paradigm shift is. Thomas Kuhn, actually really one of the other people he was looking at as he was looking at paradigm shifts was children. Piaget was writing a lot about child development. And what Piaget was saying is that these children go through development and they have a stage where they're at, and then they go through this very disruptive moment and they go to the next stage. And you can watch it as an adult, you can watch it happen. I remember when Julian went through those, like he's such a lovely child. But then he'd get really grumpy, and he'd be like, eh. And I'm like, oh, he's going through a shift. I could watch him go through the shift, because when we go, we're all like that. No, I can't say I'm like that anyway. I will say I get very grumpy when I'm going through a shift. It's disorienting. I'm like, and I'll be a little snappy. And, that's what you feel a little uncomfortable in your body when you're shifting. That's going into the darkness, the unfamiliar. I don't know what this is. It's not like, yay. It's like, I don't know what's happening. And then once you've taken enough time, it all takes time, you get to the next stage, and then eventually you integrate it, and you start flowing at the next stage of development. So it's like growth, plateau. And then when you're at the plateau, it might be a time as you integrate this new thing, healing happens at that stage too. Sometimes in the flat stage, it's not that it's boring, it's not, now you're healing, doing a lot of healing work of past things, and then you grow and you plateau, and you might do some more healing work that wasn't done. That's when people say, oh, I keep revisiting it. No, you're probably revisiting it from a different place than you were doing it before. So we continue to do growth, healing, and integrating, and this is when you get to play too. It's both healing and play, growth, healing. So that's how we work. And every time we go through a paradigm shift, it's uncomfortable. So it's an interesting question to ask ourselves, what are our paradigms? And what are the things that are pushing us to the next level? So with children, it's biological too. So it's not like they can't help it. And so there became an idea that development stopped at age 25. I took a lot of child development classes when I was in college, and they all said it stopped at 25-ish. And what they've learned is actually that's not true. Adults continue to develop. We continue to evolve. But often we stop developing during when we're raising children. Because it's very hard to go through that disruptive, I don't know what I'm thinking while you're trying to raise children. We're trying to create a stable environment for the children, so we don't want, if we're all over the place, it's hard. Not that it doesn't happen, it's just harder. So often parents become very stable, wherever they are, wherever stage you've stopped at, you become very stable. But what they find is once the kids go off to college, the growth starts again. Isn't that great? Until we leave our bodies. We're always growing. It never ends. And so being in a spiritual community, one of the most important things to look at is our views of spirituality and how we understand things. What our paradigms are. And many of us have already outgrown some paradigms, but it still happens. You know, I was in a class with someone who was new to it. This was a long time ago. Was new to our organization. And sometimes what I like to ask people in class is, have you ever had any, I used to say spiritual experiences, but then I realized people that was a paradigm, a box, and they had a very definite idea of what that was. So then I switched it to a non-ordinary experience, an experience that isn't sort of typical of your everyday life. And this person was like, nope, never had one. Blah, blah. And then as we went on into class, they just happened to bring up, they didn't go back and say, oh, I've had one. They just started talking, oh yeah, and I did have this, I was walking once and with my dog, and there was this tree, and it became all light, and I was communing with this light, and we're all looking at this person and saying, you've never had an experience? Is that what you were saying? She'd had the experience, but she didn't have the concept of the experience. So what they're learning about paradigm shifts is education, just as we educate children, and as you know, as you're been continuing to grow as an adult. Learning is a really important idea because that opens up our ideas of what's possible. When I was in 9th grade, I had an experience where I was outside my body, and the name Harriet floated over. I didn't know who the body was, and I saw the name Harriet, and it floated over the body. And I'm like, oh, that's who I am this time, and then I was back in the body. So that means who I was not neither Harriet nor the body. That was so beyond anything that I could conceive. I had no way to think about it. That was so beyond a paradigm I lived. So our paradigms of reality often fit the people that were around. And so in my reality, not just my family, my community, we were materialistic, meaning 5 senses, science, rational thought, was our body. The whole idea that I could be outside my body was so beyond any paradigm of reality that I had that I couldn't think about it. It had no impact on my life at all. And then when I was in college, I was taking East Asian religion class in Hinduism and learning its cosmology. It was just so different than Western cosmology. Wow, I just kept opening up. And then Buddhism. I mean, it was just this constant, reorienting of how, because their whole structure of how they saw the world was so different. And I had a brilliant teacher who really could help us get into a different mindset. He would create these pictures, like, imagine looking at the world this way. So all of a sudden, my mind was opening and expanding, and then I wrote a paper on Zen, and it was 5 a.m., it was due that day, it was the final paper, and I suddenly remembered this out-of-body experience. And it wasn't just concepts, it was like, oh my gosh, I was outside my body. And I remember just feeling so disoriented, so I put an added-on piece of paper at the end, and I said, I just remembered an experience when I was a kid, and I have no idea what's real, so I have no idea if this paper is true at all. And I turned it in. Fortunately, they gave me an A because they understood. But that's so both of those are examples of people who have had experiences, but our paradigm wasn't big enough to integrate it. So it's interesting to look at our life and say, where are the limits of my paradigms of possibility? Like, where do I say, I kind of believe that, but I don't know if I really believe that? It's an interesting thing to start looking at in our life. I know for myself, just in terms of possibilities, I had a very vivacious mother who lived big, and she couldn't help it, just who she was, joyful, went to all by herself in her 50s, took some skiing lessons, and the next thing I knew, she was in the Alps skiing. I mean, this is her life. She dated people. She's always dating people that were younger than her, just lived life fully. But as she got into her 70s, all of her closest friends passed on to the other side, as well as the men that had been in her life. And it was just at 80, she kept saying, and she never said this before, I'm old now, I'm old, this is what, and it's just all downhill from here. All these things that she had never said before, suddenly she was saying. And now she's almost 90 with dementia and, in a memory care, but it was quick. And I remember watching her. I'm like, why is she doing that? Why is she saying that? So today, what I do is I follow all these different groups on social media, showing videos of people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s who are fully alive in all different areas. Because I'm retraining my mind. I want to retrain my mind of what it means to be 80 and 90 and 100. I don't want to, because I saw how strong her mindset was. So that's what helps us. Like, where are my paradigms? Where are my walls? Maybe that I didn't even create, that I've just seen other people. There's a belief system. Where can I push my paradigm to be open to greater possibilities? And we do this collectively. I think that's happening in our world right now. We had a limit of how women were in the world. I mean, the thing that amazed me about Me Too and Black Lives Matters is it's not like these were new ideas. They were in the 60s and the 70s. But it takes time sometimes with these new paradigms to actually start really owning them and living them, not just as individuals, but collectively and as organizations. And I think it's extraordinarily exciting that we're seeing paradigms open, not closing, open and saying, wow, all these possibilities that we never saw before because our worldview was so small. It wasn't that people were bad. It wasn't the people who thought Earth was the center of the universe. They weren't bad people. They weren't even, like I said, I don't think it was egocentric. It was just that's what made sense. It's not to put down. I don't really like the whole blaming thing because we're all evolving and we're all learning. And you know, in school, you don't go, well, man, you were so stupid when you were in first grade. That just seems silly, right? We honor that we're at different stages of evolution, and we all have been individually and collectively. And so it's not that the past was so bad, we were learning then, but we continue to learn. And how exciting is that? It's very hard to learn if you're constantly beating yourself up, but saying, wow, this is amazing what's happening. The people are waking up to more than ever about people who are different than them, about our environment, what's happening. It's not to put anyone down, but to be excited that our paradigm, our structures are open. And by the way, they are structures. It's not no structures. It's structures that can hold more understanding and more ideas. And that's what I love about this community. This community isn't limited to any one religious structure. It's like we're open to all of them. Our structures have gotten big enough to include all. So part of this, as we're going on our journey, our pilgrimage, and you're looking at where's your cutting evolutionary edge, where is the healing that needs to happen? One of the questions to ask is, where's my wall? Where's that paradigm of structure of what do I really believe is possible? So what I want to invite us as we look at what's possible is spiritually. I've been on the spiritual journey quite a long time. I know some of you have as well. I think I mentioned it before, inspiration porn. It sort of surprises me, actually, the same things get said over and over, decade after decade, and the affirmations, and there's only one power, and there's one presence, and it's all love, and all the love that has ever been and ever will be is fully here, right? We can rattle that off. Anyone can do that. Learning the concepts is important, first of all, and learning why it's true. It's not wishful thinking. That's why classes are so valuable. It's like this isn't just like because it feels good. These are principles that we can study and learn and see how they've been at work in this planet all along. They didn't just pop up out of nowhere. But then there's the living of these principles. And so I'm asking you to look at paradigms for your dreams, for your healing, like I was talking about ageism, but I'm also asking us to look at our limitations or paradigms of our belief about living a mystical life. That there's such an old idea that only certain people can live a mystical life. That it's for, like in the old idea, the saints or the monks or whoever, priests, I guess. I don't know, but that's all the Christian. But even the gurus and the Zen masters, it was for the special people, and everyone else can have a little bit, but not much. So the question is, if it's just a question of our paradigm of what's possible, where is our limit? And it's something I work through because I know, and I know that I have no doubts that the love of the divine is so far beyond any love that we experience humanly. Like being kind and being generous is wonderful. Being gentle, being tender, all of that is great, but it is nothing compared to God's love. That's why every mystic says you can't speak it or words because it is so beyond, but it's the greatest thing ever. And so the question I've been asking myself is, how come we're not experiencing this extraordinary love all more? And the dreams that we want to fulfill, the healing, the wounds that we want to fulfill, we already have the source. The source that's going to heal those wounds, the source that's going to fulfill those dreams is right now, right in this moment. So when I'm asking you, what are you waiting for? There's an idea that when I get this dream fulfilled or when I heal this wound, but the thing that's going to fulfill the dream, the thing that's going to heal the wound is right now. All the love, I'm going to say it again, even though I just said it's just words, but all the love that has ever been and ever will be is in this room right now. It's in the center of your being. It is loving you right now. It is not just a concept, it's a living reality. It's an energy, it's a vibration, and can we receive and experience it right now? Where's our wall to experiencing it right now? Not when we get home, not when we're in nature, this is an uncomfortable situation too. I'm saying right now, but we're surrounded by people that we kind of know, we know are basically on the same field, but they're not our closest friends. There's not the deep friends where I feel totally safe. We're surrounded by people we kind of know. So you might say, well, I can know deep love if it's just in my own world with my friends, or I'm out in nature, or I'm by myself. But in a situation, just like in this moment, can we let go? Can we let go into the darkness and say, okay, we have partial truth here. Can we go even deeper as a community when we come together on a Sunday morning and feel and experience this divine love in a very radical and powerful way? That's what I'm carrying into my visioning on this pilgrimage, is saying, what can we do on Sunday mornings to really up-level our experience of divine love, so it's not just words, but there is an actual vibrational frequency that is so much higher than we feel normally in our human world. What can be done? And I don't know, I don't have the answer, but it's what I'm carrying into all my visioning. We have visioning this week and to the end. What's that vision? What's that vision, that possibility? Because I recognize there's a wall that I have that I can't see through. But I know one thing. Even if I can't experience it fully in this moment, if we don't experience it yet fully in this moment, the one thing we can do is choose to be willing to experience in this moment. Am I willing to experience the openness and the power of divine love in this moment? And then as the music comes up, and as we have offering and announcements, and we talk with people afterwards, and we go to lunch, and we have all day long, am I willing right now? So there's a nowness of it. Right now, am I willing to experience the infinite oceanic love that loves me passionately and wildly, has always, I don't have to earn it, I don't have to do anything to deserve it, just by being existence, my mere existence, I am completely loved. Am I willing to experience that love right here and right now that is more personal than any human relationship that I can know, that knows me better than I know myself, that knows my subconscious mind, my conscious mind, it knows all the experiences I've ever, it's loving me passionately and wildly through every atom and cell of my being, pouring through all aspects of my being. Am I open to that right now? Am I willing? And in the next moment, and in the next moment, and as we go into the rest of the week, am I willing to know the divine love right now? Right now. Right now, am I willing? Am I willing to know this presence and this power of pure love right now? Right now. Yes. Yes. Right now. We don't have to wait. No more waiting. Now. And we're going to keep saying that, and we're going to keep being willing, and we're going to keep opening up until things that we can't even imagine are going to continue to unfold because we've never been there before. But in that willingness and that saying yes to divine love now, to divine love now, we have the power to do that. We have the willingness to do that, and that will be shifting, and is shifting right now, the energy, and we can feel it because we've said yes. We've chosen it, and we choose it together as one, and something miraculous is happening because of that choice today. Let's pray. Yeah. Love you all so much.
Love you too.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, love. Thank you, love itself. This divine love that is pouring itself through and at each and every one of us, that is filling each and every one of us right here and right now. We claim and we know that we don't have to deserve this love. We haven't had to do anything. We haven't had to we don't have to make ourselves into a pretzel to deserve this love. It is just who we are. We don't have to give all our money away. We are loved just as we are right now. We don't have to do this, that, or the other thing loved right now for all that we are, for all that we have ever been, all our mistakes, all our imperfections, for all of our greatness and our beauty and our talents and our skills. We are loved, we are loved, we are loved, and we are one in this love, that every single person is included in this love. Everyone is included in this love. So we feel that love not only in ourselves and claim the willingness to know this divine love that is beyond our human understanding. We claim this not only for our individual self, but for every single person that is in this room and online. People we can't even see online, but we know they are here with us now. Yes, this divine love. We are willing to know this divine love intimately, powerfully, and expansively as all of us here and now. We are willing, and that willingness has opened up the door. It has opened the door. The barriers are dissolving. The new life is happening. The love is here. We all feel it. We celebrate it. And we continue to give thanks for it. So as we move on into the rest of our service, we're not moving away from the love, but with every breath that we take, we are moving into greater and greater and greater and greater light and love as never before. We choose this, we claim it, we accept it, and it is done. And so it is.
I walk in God in all I do. I walk in God in all that I say.